G'day everyone and welcome back to the Pokestraya YouTube channel. It's Jordan here, and we're back looking at this Mega Gardevoir deck, a deck that I wanted to revisit since Evolutions is now officially legal. I did cover this deck a couple of weeks ago on the channel. It's only a couple of videos back, so you can go and check that one out first if you wish. I'm not really going to talk too much about this deck because I have already covered it. I will talk about the notable changes as well as this keycard here, this Mega Gardevoir-EX. Despair Ray, 110 damage for 2 energies, and you discard as many of your bench Pokemon as you want, and do 10 more for each Pokemon you discard this way. Now this card was very good at this stage, just being able to discard. Usually you wouldn't even need to discard all that many. The option's there if you need it, but usually you can get away without having to do that. So this got a bit better when we got this Dragonite-EX from Evolutions. With the pull-up ability, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may put 2 basic Pokemon, except Dragonite-EX, from your discard pile into your hand. The reason why this is good is because you can play this Dragonite-EX, get yourself back something like a Hooper-EX, and then have access to this Scoundrel Ring after using something like a Super Rod, and then you'll get 3 more EX Pokemon back in, and you get your full bench up. You really only need to do this a couple of times to put some pressure on. I only played 2 Super Rod in this list, which is the same as what I originally played. I really don't feel like there's any need more for it. I did actually originally also play Karen. I don't even think there's a need for that in this deck anymore. I think Despair Ray Mega Gardevoir is usually going to 2-shot most things. I'd say usually, most times, a couple of times it's 2-shotting things, and just knocking out lower HP Pokemon. This deck's very good against Mega Mewtwo, because Gardevoir is also a Psychic type. It's kind of why the deck's really good, is just because you can auto-win that Mewtwo matchup, which is pretty important. It's also very easy to one-shot little things, such as Baby Volcanions, Baby Eviltolls. We see that Friday Night Eviltoll seeing a lot of play right now. If you can get the Mega Gardevoir out before they shut off the ability and apply pressure, you can easily just knock them out, and whilst also getting rid of the things that they chose to damage on the bench. Obviously Friday Night Eviltoll doing 62 a bench EX Pokemon. We only play EX Pokemon in this build. So if they land an attack, they're probably going to put 60 on a Shaman. You can then Despair Ray, get rid of that Shaman on the bench that has the damage on it, and with one more Pokemon, you're knocking out that Baby Eviltoll. There's a lot of good things that Mega Gardevoir does. I think it's got a lot of winnable matchups, especially looking at how the format is developing. Giratina seeing a lot more play. Mega Mewtwo is always going to be big. This deck has so many good matchups, and I kind of think why the deck is so popular. It's also quite easy to knock Pokemon out with Skyfield here. You can bench up to 8 Pokemon. That means if you really need to, you can discard up to 8 Pokemon, hit for 190, which is kind of perfect. Usually you won't need a hit for 190. Usually you're going to hit for 170, 180. With Giovanni's scheme, you can hit for 210, which is just why it's so perfect in a lot of ways. It's nice because a lot of the big megas do have that 210 HP. Obviously Mewtwo's already getting knocked out, but just helping to reach higher numbers. Mega Gardevoir can do that quite easily. Other things to consider here is some other cards I've changed. I've actually upped the Fairy Drop count. I really like this card in this deck. I think this card is such an underrated card in this deck. If you don't like playing 2, you can easily drop this down to 1, play a second Super Rod. That's easy as well. Support account, pretty linear, pretty standard in this Mega Gardevoir deck. I would say 3 Sycamore, 1 and 1 Lysander, 2 Hex, 1 Giovanni's. I think I originally played a Karen and Olympia. You can also drop the Sycamore count down to 2, because when you're playing 4 Shaman EX, 2 Hooper, and the Dragonite, you're really just relying heavily on abilities. So the support account's kind of standard for these Mega Gardevoir lists, pretty small support accounts, because you are mainly going to be relying off ability draw. 2 Hex is pretty important for things such as Giratina. I do say that is popping up in play at this stage. Shaping up into the format is, there's obviously Dark Ray Giratina, there's also Giratina Hammers, which is popping up and doing quite well. X-Maniac just kind of makes you win that matchup as well. Then we just kind of play consistency with the 4VS, Seeker 4, Ultra Ball 4, Trainer's Mail. 2 Mega Turbo, I don't really think you need more than that with this deck. It's 2 energies anyway, so it's pretty easy to get one of these Gardevoirs powered up. And 3 Escape Rope, which I'm actually pretty fond of in this deck. Mainly it's going to be used for just retreating things. But it does serve its other uses. Like, we don't play any Floatstone in this deck, so if Hooper comes up, Escape Rope's our option out. If Dragonite comes up, Escape Rope's our option out. Usually you want to discard these guys before they get Lysanded up, but that Escape Rope is kind of important and also very, very good in this deck, and that's why I'm playing 3 of. That is the Gardevoir list. We're going to jump in and play some games with this, and as I said, it hasn't really changed much since the last video, so if you're looking for something a bit more detailed, check that video out. Only a couple of cards different, mainly that Gardevoir-EX is going to be the big one. Alright, and here we go. We are going up against I'm going to say this is a Xerneas Giratina deck, which is pretty favourable. We knock out Xerneas quite easily. We knock out Giratina quite easily. I'm not too fazed by this matchup. I reckon this is a pretty decent matchup for us. With things like Escape Rope and Hex, I reckon we're going to be pretty safe with this match. Hopefully we get to go first and our opponent doesn't drop a Hex Maniac first turn. That's kind of the killer for this deck, is the first turn Hex Maniac. It hurts a lot. PTCGO has stopped responding, so hopefully it'll cut back in shortly. This is going to be kind of a fun matchup as well. You don't really see Xerneas Giratina all that much. It's a deck that was kind of hyped for a bit. It's fallen under the radar. I don't personally think it's very good. I think Darkrai Giratina is just much more consistent and better. It is a cheaper alternative. Although actually I think Xerneas breaks, last time I checked, we're going for like $15 each, so maybe it's not the cheaper alternative. We're going to mulligan number 1. Bit of a shame because now my opponent knows that I am playing this Steam Siege Mega Gardevoir deck. I've got the Hex as well there showing off, so bit of a disappointing mulligan when you kind of give away a big component of your deck. And oh god, this hand's not very good. So we're kind of hoping for an N. I don't really particularly like the idea of Sycamoring away. My opponent does start Giratina, which is kind of odd. You'd think if they're going to have it down here, you'd start with that Geomancy Xerneas, and my opponent going to end us, which I'm very, very, very thankful for. 2 Gardevoirs, a Fairy Drop, and a Gardevoir Spirit Link is never good to Sycamore away. This is a bit better. We do find ourselves at Gardevoir, the Mega. Fairy Garden comes down, which is actually not the worst. Fury Belt onto the Tina, which is confusing. I don't really know what the play for that is. So we're going to Trainer's Mail here. Find ourselves a Spirit Link. We can drop that Spirit Link down. We can play down another Trainer's Mail here. I reckon we just go for the Sycamore. I actually probably should have taken Gardevoir Spirit Link. That was a bit of a misplay. We're going to just Ultra Ball, get rid of our 2 supporters here, find ourselves a Hooper, and kind of set up a bit. So we'll take the Hooper. Looks like I've prized Gardevoir-EX? No, I haven't. Okay, so we're going to grab the Hooper. We'll grab 2 more Gardevoirs down, as well as a Shaman-EX. I think I may have done the Ultra Bowling a bit odd. I probably should have done that a bit better. Oh well. Alright, so we're going to grab... I reckon instead of grabbing the second one, I should have just grabbed the Spirit Link. But it's fine. We're all good. We'll drop these Gardevoirs down and put this Shaman-EX down on the field as well. Now, we did get rid of that Hex Maniac, which is going to be pretty big, I reckon, next turn. We do find the Escape Rope, which is kind of odd. I don't like the idea of playing the... Okay, oh god, this hand is quite awkward as well. I'm going to take the Mega Turbo. I reckon we just leave the Shaman-EX up. My opponent didn't play any energy down. I'm going to drop a Fairy down. We do have a Spirit Link. Not a Spirit Link. We got a Mega Gardevoir, an Escape Rope, and a Mega Turbo. So if we can find a way to get an energy in the discard pile, we might be okay here. My opponent going to end us. Alright, so that's fine. Kind of happy with that N actually. Oh, was hoping for something a bit better than that. We're going to see a Max Elixir from my opponent. So now they're trying to set up these Geomancy Xerneas. Double Dragon Energy coming down, an Ultra Ball here from my opponent. Probably going to fetch themselves a Shaman-EX. So what I need this turn is kind of a big ask. I'm going to need a Fairy Energy for the Shaman, Retreat, Mega, and a Mega Turbo. And I only played 2 Mega Turbo, so let's see how we go with that. I'm hoping I can top deck possibly an Ultra Ball. That would be really nice. I don't like the idea of Ultra Bowling away a Dragonite-EX. I'd like to get my use out of a Dragonite. So let's see what we can do next turn. My opponent is able to retreat with the Fairy Gun and hit a Geomancy. So we find the Fairy Energy for the Shaman. So we can put that down. We do want a Skyfield here because we don't want the energy here. We're going to want to discard this so we can Mega Turbo. I can Shaman for 2. I could put the Dragonite or the Hooper down. Maybe I Hooper for a Mega. That might be a smart play here. Just grab a Mega from this Hooper. How many bench spaces do I have left open? 5, 6. I might also grab just another Gardevoir-EX. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I reckon I probably should have just been better off leaving that Gardevoir-EX in deck. Whatever. Alright, so we can put the Gardevoirs down. We are going to pretty much get rid of most of the stuff in our bench next turn, and we can Shaman EX. Drawing 3, we just need to find a Mega Turbo here. And there we go, we do find the Mega Turbo, and also a Lysander, which is going to be kind of big. We're going to get rid of essentially what is 2 energies for a Xerneas Break off of that Giratina-EX. Yeah, we're going to get rid of this. We can hit this Despair, kind of just get rid of everything that we don't want on the bench. So the Shamans, the Hoopers, we'll keep the Gardevoirs down. Yeah, we'll keep the Guardies down. I think I've got all of my... Oh, no. No. Oh my god. That was a huge mistake. So I forgot to Hex. And now this Tina's got 2 energies on board. Oh god, that was so bad. That could cost us hugely. I needed a Hex Maniac there. I can't believe I did that. I did it so confidently as well. There's a Xerneas Break coming down now. So my opponent has the option to Chaos, so they can also hit us for 20, 40, 60, 80. There's a Hex Maniac. Odd decision. Really odd decision my opponent would do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My opponent's not knocking me out at this stage. And I think my opponent realized the mistake. They would have just... They didn't really have anything then. They would have to retreat the 4 energies off that Giratina-EX. And that was a misplay from my opponent. Despite me hugely misplaying, trying to bring up the Giratina without the knockout, we are able to take that game. Alright, let's play one more with this deck. Alright, come on. Alright, so hopefully we can get a decent matchup. I'd like to show off the Mewtwo matchup. It's kind of funny. I don't reckon if I paired a Mewtwo, they would stick around for it though. I think if your opponent flips over Gardevoir and you're playing Mewtwo, you kind of just scoop the game and walk away. It's a pretty unwinnable matchup. You have to get incredibly lucky. Right, so it looks like we're going up against Fighting Watercolorless, which is kind of odd. I really don't know what to expect here. Possibly a Garchomp deck? Maybe Garchomp Octillery Talonflame is my best bet. I'm not too sure here. We'll find out. Or even Gallade Octillery with Talonflame. Alright, so we're going to call the flip. We're going to go with Tails. Of course, it's Heads, so my opponent probably going to choose to go first here, which is... It's okay. I mean, obviously we're playing a Mega deck. We like to go first. Oh, that's a hand. So we do get the Shamaniac start with 3 basic energies and a Super Rod in hand. Our starting hands haven't been great. Octillery and Strong Energy. I think this might be Greninja, not Greninja, Garchomp Octillery with Possibly Talonflame in it as well. Oh, Machamp. Okay, here we go. Luckily, Mega Gardevoir hits for 190. We do knock out the break if they can ever get that thing into play. So we're going to draw some mulligans here. Oh my god, those are worse. Oh no, Carbink as well. The worst bit is, I cannot afford to Sycamore. I can't. I mean, I might be forced to Sycamore. There's a level ball from my opponent, so they're going to get a Remoraid down here. Where's the Machops? So my opponent's likely to just wall behind Carbink for a couple of turns. We did play 2 Hex in here, so it's not the end of the world. There's a level ball for the Machop. So then I'll play the Evolutions Machop. I can't even remember what it does off the top of my head. I don't think either of them is super good. We're going to see an Ultra Ball here for a Carbink and a Floatstone. Possibly that going to grab another Machop? Or even an Octillery if they don't have anything. They're going to take a Carbink break for next turn. And they just pass. And we draw a Giovanni Scheme, which is useless to us. Okay. And we may as well. We kind of are forced to Sycamore. As dumb as it sounds. I mean, we probably could have just stayed behind this thing, but then we're just falling too far behind. Alright, so we do find a Hooper, which is good. We can grab ourselves a couple of Guardies. I don't even think we need Shaman at this point. I don't even think we would want Shaman. Just a pair of Guardies will do. Drop these down, get a Spirit Link on one of them. These are essentially going to be our only 2 Gardevoirs for this matchup. Then we just pass turn. So, not the worst. I think if we can get our Hexes early enough, shut off these Carbinks early enough, we might be okay. So we're going to see a Wally here from my opponent. They'll probably take the Machoke. Alright, so this does... Okay, that doesn't really do much. And there's the Abyssal Hand. I don't know what colorless Pokemon they're playing it. I'd assume it'd probably be Talonflame. If you're playing Octillery, you usually aren't playing Shaman-EX. Oh, I thought they played the Shaman-EX, but that was my Shaman-EX. They're going to take the Scorched Earth here. If you're playing Scorched Earth and Octillery, you're almost definitely not playing the Shaman-EX. Alright, so we get a Fairy Drop. I'm probably going to Lysander here, so I reckon I might just hang on to that Fairy Drop. Okay, so we can get a couple of Mega Turbos off. Which is kind of nice. Retreat into this Gardevoir. Lysander up. Machoke, which is pretty much their only big threat here. Debatable as to whether or not it was worth going for a... We're just going to get rid of these 2. We don't really need them at this stage. Maybe going for the Sycamore play was the better option, although, you know what, I don't really think it was. Maybe, I feel like I've gone for the right play here. And we do find an Ultra Ball, which is going to be good for us. This guy has 110 HP, so we're knocking it out regardless. Scorched Earth comes down. They're going to hit us for 40. We can Fairy Drop. We got the Ultra Ball to grab a Shaman. Hopefully from that we can find a Hex Maniac. That would be really nice. Gonna see an Ultra Ball from my opponent. Discarding a Sycamore and a Lysander. Lysander could have actually been quite annoying, man. It would have maybe forced me to dig for a escape rope. So my opponent gonna find themselves another Machop here. They probably also have a support, you'd imagine. If they're going to discard a Sycamore and a Lysander. They do a Abyssal Hand to draw 3 cards. Another Strong Energy coming down onto the active. So it looks like my opponent's just going pretty ham with this Carbink. It's going to be another Trainer's Mail. I believe they took a Professor's Letter from the last one. I didn't quite see it. We're going to see a Scorched Earth for that one. So right now they're going to Power Gem us for 60, or they could... not Power Gem, Diamond Gift is the attack. Power Gem's the other attack, but they could have hit us for 80. Gonna put an energy onto the Machop. We find a Trainer's Mail. Find the Hex Maniac. Fantastic. Don't even have to dig. We can Fairy Drop. We can Hex. And we can Knock Out. And get rid of 2 strong energies in the process. We don't even have to discard. We hit for 110. We can knock out this Carbink Break. And take another prize. We still have that Ultra Ball. We still have the Sycamore. We have an Escape Rope now. So if my opponent just decides to throw up the other Carbink, I could probably dig to get the Hex, get the Lysander. Either way it works. Gonna see the Scorched Death from my opponent. Gonna draw 2 more cards. Bit of an interesting play. I reckon I probably would have attached the energy first and then maybe Abyssal Handed and then done the Scorched Earth. Especially if you got the strong energy, I reckon that's probably the better play because I didn't even get an Abyssal Hand off there. We do find an Ultra Ball. I've got the Dragonite-EX here. At this point I don't even think Dragonite's necessary. I actually think it's probably going to hurt me more than it helps me. So I think I just go for an Ultra Ball here. I'm going to keep the Escape Rope just in case. I reckon that's probably the better trainer card for me to help hold on to. Just if I really need to swap something out, I can. I'm actually going to need 2 escape. Oh no, it's pointless. That wouldn't work. Never mind. So we are going to need to find a VS Seeker here. And ooh, we miss it to start with. We do have a Trainer's Mail. Once again, we can find ourselves, probably just another, I reckon we'll take the N just to burn it. I'm going to attach an energy here. I'm going to Ultra Ball away. I should have attached the energy here. That would have been a smart play. We're going to Ultra Ball, get rid of these 2. Grab a Gardevoir? I don't even think it's necessary. Do we even have a Spirit Link left in deck? We do have 2 Spirit Links left in deck, so maybe it's worth taking it. I really regret not playing the energy to the Shaman, because at least then I could have potentially knocked out if I missed the VF Seeker or the second Hex or second Lysander. Really hoping I don't miss it. Fantastic. Okay, so we can VF Seeker. I reckon Hex is the better play here. This Machop's only got 1 energy. We're going to bounce the Stadium as well, which is going to be pretty big. We're going to Hex, and we're going to get rid of our 2 Shamans. And then if they do Lysander, I've got double Escape Ropes, as well as another energy. I'm pretty confident at this stage. We're going 3 up. My opponent doesn't really have anything on their board. At this stage I got 1 Machop with 1 energy. Machamp needs 3 energies, I think 3 or 4 energies, so they are still requiring quite a bit of work to get this Machamp set up. We're going to see a Scorched Earth coming down after that Professor's Letter for 2 fighting energies, so they can ditch 1, draw 2, they can attach. Rare Candy. Okay, Rare Candy into the Machamp. Oh, this is a bit harder for us. And my opponent conceded. I reckon I wouldn't have conceded that. I would have kept playing that because, especially if my opponent knew my hand, I wasn't knocking that thing out anytime soon. I reckon they could have at least taken a Gardevoir down. We'll leave it at that. Just 2 games for today. Mega Gardevoir, Dragonite. I think this deck does get a bit better with that Dragonite-EX. And there's also more room for stuff. I feel like you have to play less of those annoying supporter cards that we were playing. I think Karen was a pretty big part of this deck. I don't think it is anymore with just the Dragonite. It does better. And just being able to have more room and more options for cards is very good. Dragonite just opens up so many different plays. You can play a lot of other basic Pokemon, such as something like a Rattata in your deck just to get rid of tools. I don't really think there's a tool that hinders Guardy all that much. But there it is, Mega Gardevoir Dragonite-EX. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the Pokestraya YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.